Good morning. My name is Steve Reed. I am pastor of H2O Church Orlando and a licensed mental health counselor. And welcome to Mental Health Monday. I'm going to just talk for a couple minutes before I jump in to allow people to jump on. And in this time, sometimes I talk about personal things or just smaller pieces. Remember, this is the time when we take bite-sized pieces of mental, emotional, and spiritual health and try to grow in awareness, because awareness gives room for movement, and movement leads to freedom. And so this morning, just want to be able to recognize that angst was a thing before COVID. And it is a big thing during COVID, but it was around before COVID. As a matter of fact, every one of us as adults went through a time in our life as teenagers where there was likely a significant amount of angst. And remember, it's that mix of things, that it's worry and anxiety, anticipatory worry, it's foreboding optimism. There's a mixture of three things that we've looked at already. One of them is worry and anxiety, one of them is helplessness, and one of them is hope. And that sense of, I'm going to finally have freedom, I'm going to get to be myself, I'm going to not have to follow all the rules, but that depends on when I get my driver's license, and when I become 18, and when I get to go to college or move out of my folks' house. And all of those things feel like a lifetime away for a teenager. And so all of us have likely had a meaningful period of angst in our life. And we're going to be looking today, as we jump into our stuff today, we're going to be looking at a significant piece of what we would consider a secondary emotion. Those three emotions that we've been looking at for the past few times are the primary things that are going on with angst, and we're going to be looking at a secondary emotion that comes as a result of those things. Remember, we talked about, because of the worry and anxiety part, we want to be able to decrease worry. So practicing being present. We practiced a tool called Lightstream, remembering that I am present, I am safe, or I am not alone, helping myself be present. In the helpless part, addressing the helplessness, I want to look at the things that I am not in control of, the things that I am in control of, and focus on those. And I want to be able to be aware of the one who's in control of all things. And in hope, we took a look last time at different ways to increase hope. And so I trust that those have been helpful. Today, as we look at secondary emotions that often accompany angst, the main secondary emotion that comes along with that is anger. It's frustrating to be in this stuck, not yet place. I might have hope that it's going to change, but it's not changed yet. And I don't know when it's going to change. And I'm not really in control of when it's going to change. I can be in control of some things, but I'm not in control of all of it. And so that's frustrating and challenging. And so that secondary emotion that comes along with angst is often anger. So anger is that energy that comes from that perception that I've been wronged, or somebody that I care about, or something that I care about has been wronged. It's that energy of motion that can kick me into fight or flight. And so all of that energy that comes from anger, we need to figure out how to navigate it. And as something that comes up as a result oftentimes of feeling angst, we may need to be able to navigate through the anger before we can really begin to address the angst. And so one of the things that we want to do is start asking ourselves some questions with anger. And one is there a healthy way to use this energy to address what's been wrong? Maybe I need to talk with my brother who wronged me. Maybe I need to let him know that when he didn't call me like he said he would, that was hurtful. Do I need to down-regulate a bit before action? Maybe, and here's maybe 9 or 10 different ways to address anger. And then we're going to look at a two-step plan for reducing anger. Okay, a two-step plan for reducing anger after we look at these 9 or 10 ways to reduce it to begin with. So asking, is there a healthy way to use this energy? Number 2, do I need to down regulate a bit? And that might be giving myself a timeout, or doing some breathing or walking. Number 2 might be doing push-ups and any kind of exercise. Running, going to the gym, swimming, biking are all healthy ways to bleed off some of this energy that comes from that place that's screaming, I've been wronged, or somebody or something I care about has been wrong. Sometimes you can't get to those things, and you can just kind of drop and do some push-ups and jumping jacks or squats, and that can be a help. The third thing you might think about is doing something that you just enjoy, learning a new hobby or diving into a hobby that you sort of let drift away, doing something that is self-improvement, learning, growing in your relationship with God. Working on those kinds of things actually gives you something positive to focus on that is a diversion away from anger. Serving in your community, being able to notice what is happening in the world around you, the people around you, the relationships around you, and sorting out how can I make a difference in those around me. So all of these things are ways that we can address anger, which is the secondary emotion that comes up as we're facing angst. It's purposely watching something on Netflix or TV that's funny, a sitcom, purposely looking at jokes, listening to reading jokes on Pinterest. It just relaxes the body. It gives us endorphins. It actually boosts our immune system when we're able to just relax and laugh. And then we're able to, shifting our focus purposely onto other things. We've specifically in Mental Health Monday looked at gratitude as a great place to land in shifting focus. And when I'm angry, it's really, really helpful to shift my focus into those things, because there may be some things I'm really angry about, but that's not everything that's going on in life. And so I can shift my focus. I may want to be able to take this extra energy that I have and attack my to-do list. It's always helpful to knock something off of my list with energy that I have, instead of trying to figure out how I'm going to get motivated to do those things. And so we've also spent time talking about journaling, and some of the times that we've looked together at the power of journaling. In the midst of anger and dealing with anger, journaling is a huge tool. If I write it all out until it feels like there's nothing else to write, and then I can take that piece of paper and burn it. And that's just a really helpful way to kind of move through it. And then also there's going to be times when I just am perhaps out of control with my anger. It seems to come upon me without me wanting it to. It comes out of nowhere and it's really big. And it may be that I just need to ask for some help. Maybe I need to sit with a counselor, somebody from my church, to just help me understand why I have this significant reaction that I do. And that getting help, I'm not alone, is a really key piece. Some reasons that anger wants to jump up and grab control. Number one, it helps me feel powerful. Anger helps me feel powerful. It also protects those vulnerable feelings. Helplessness and powerlessness are parts of what comes along with angst. And of course, if I'm feeling those more vulnerable things, anger is going to step in and try to protect me. And so sometimes anger has very little to do other than it's saying that it's not supposed to be this way. I should have more control. This should be over by now. It's screaming those things, and it wants me to follow it instead of some kind of a helpful path like we were talking about. It also, anger can help keep me engaged. If I'm focused on what I'm angry about, I'm focused and I'm engaged in that thing instead of just drifting away or falling into withdrawal. So all of these different ways are ways that anger wants to help take control. It can also give me a semblance of control. And honestly, isn't it true that sometimes when we have powered up or others have powered up against us, we do get what we want. That person who's angry does get what they want. Of course, it's at a cost. It violates trust. It destroys relationship. But anger spilling out into the world around us does sometimes give us what we want. And so All of these are reasons why sometimes anger wants to, when we start feeling it, we let it ride. We let it keep on going because there are benefits from it at times. We want to take just a minute or two here at the back end, and I want to introduce you to somebody called, his name is Dr. Leon Seltzer. He's written for a number of magazines, and one of Psychology Today a few years ago, he wrote an article that offers a two-step process for getting rid of anger. It's very interesting because his two-step process is going to feel pretty familiar to you, but I want to invite you into some of his thoughts and some of his reasoning. The first step in dealing with anger, he says, is what we've just been talking about. Let's find some way to downregulate. Actually, he says, just relax. Okay, if you can, number one, relax. What we're doing is we're purposely taking the activity in our brain away from our midbrain, our amygdala, hippocampus, all of those different pieces that are driving the emotional fight or flight, and we're able to then move it into when our brain relaxes, we can move back into our forebrain, our prefrontal cortex, and all the different pieces that can actually process things. And so his plan is, number one, relax. And so finding and using the different tools that we have, giving ourselves a timeout, and all the things we just talked about. And number two, he says, is reassess. And he offers a set of questions that help us reassess. One of the things that he says is, look, the anger is there because in your perception, your anger primarily derives from your negative appraisal of what happened. And so after you start looking at what is happening, and we recognize there's more to it, that outlook, once we change that, the emotion to it must change also. And so he says, here's some questions to ask ourselves. And I'm just going to read these sets of questions kind of through slowly. Let them sift into your head and heart and sort out which of these feel like they might be helpful questions for you once you're relaxed, to be able to ask yourself about this anger. Did he or she really mean what I think I heard them say? Am I assuming something that needs to be verified? That sometimes that is, I'm angry, but I'm angry incorrectly even. I've made a mistake in understanding. Number two, is this situation as terrible as it really feels right now? Am I possibly exaggerating its significance, taking it too seriously? I'm just asking myself that question. Is this bigger? Am I making this bigger than it really is? The third one is my notion of this person's being unfair to me more a reflection of my self-interested bias than the other person's trying to take advantage of me? Are their interests or concerns maybe just as important and legitimate to them as mine are to me? I.e., do all you can to challenge your possible self-righteousness in the matter. So as he is inviting us down this path, Dr. Seltzer is saying, look, we need to look inside, and we need to recognize that we have a bias. There are things that we lean into just because we care about the things we care about, but other people are allowed to care about the things they care about too. Sometimes the things they care about end up feeling like an attack when it's really not an attack. It's them moving into the things they care about. Okay, the fourth one he says is, can I refocus my attention on what I actually like about this person and stop focusing only on this particular behavior, which I clearly don't like? In other words, I might have had some interaction with this person and been angered by that interaction, but that's not the whole of the person. And so can I broaden my understanding and awareness to grow in what's the rest of this person, and can I refocus my attention on that? The next one is, what's the concrete evidence that he or she intentionally wanted to antagonize, hurt, or humiliate me? In other words, I might be inflating this or misinterpreting it, and I might be like concluding something that there's no actual data for. What is the concrete evidence that they really wanted to antagonize, hurt, or humiliate me? or isn't there any? Am I taking this more personally than it's warranted? So the next one he says is, can I see this situation from the other person's point of view, trying to understand their motives kind of more empathically? What's going on inside of them? As I move away from being angry and pushing, as I move into relaxation, as I bring my consciousness back into my forebrain, I can ask questions like that. I can actually seek to understand what it must be like for them. He also offers, might this person's hard-to-take criticism have some rational basis to it? Is there something I can learn from it that ultimately might help me? So maybe actually this person's input and their perspective is something that I'm missing, and it would actually benefit me to tune into where they're coming from. He also offers 3 more. Is it possible I was misunderstood? It might be my fault that the person failed to get what I was trying to communicate, and so reacted negatively to me. And if they're just dense, do I really want to blame them for this? So he throws in a little bit of humor and says, look, they just might not get it, or I might not have communicated well, and that's where this challenge came from in the first place. The last 2 he offers is, am I maybe taking what this person said too literally? Might they simply be kidding around, and that's really my own insecurities or self-doubt that's making me upset? And his last one, if this person really is being inconsiderate, mean, or nasty to me, have I also seen them act this way towards others? Can I remind myself that basically this is their problem, not mine, and that I'm much better off simply not taking what they say to heart? And so just recognizing that, so Dr. Seltzer's approach is dealing with anger. Okay, we're looking at it from this perspective. Angst is, okay, in this space that we are living in, COVID, angst is. And it's that combination of helplessness and anxiety and hope that is mixed together in a sense that I can't actually control when we're moving out of this space that we're finding ourselves in. So we've looked at addressing those 3 things, and now we're recognizing that anger is a secondary emotion that comes up in the presence of angst. And all of us have experienced it likely when we were teenagers. Now we're experiencing it in a totally new way, and everybody around us is likely experiencing it too. So remember, Dr. Seltzer is saying, number 1, use tools to help you relax. And number 2, as you're relaxed, engage your prefrontal cortex in questions that might be helpful in sorting out, okay, wait a second, there's probably more to this than just this snippet that my amygdala is wanting to take control of and make it about everything. And so as we do that, I trust that there will be spaces and places for your heart to find rest, for your heart to be able to relax, for your heart to be able to find hope and joy. We're in this together, and I hope that this offering is helpful for you. So it's good to be with you, and take care. Have a great week.